and welcome to week 4 of the 40-day sugar fast. This week we are going through days 23 through 28. And I am just really excited about where we are with our fast because I feel like Wendy is getting to the root of fasting in this section. And one of my biggest takeaways that she had was, sometimes when we begin a fast, we are doing it for ourselves, right? We want to remove distractions for ourselves. We want to get to the root of the issue that is like bothering us and to give that to God, and we want to draw near to the Lord. And that's beautiful. That's a huge step in fasting, is to take that step to commit to wanting to be near God for yourself, for you to grow. And often when we begin a fasting journey, we have to remember, we have to repent, and we have to draw near to the Lord so that we can be cleared and begin to walk in the freedom. We bring our brokenness to Him so we can become more like Him. But one of the things that really stood out to me in this week's section, and it's something that I have been feeling personally, is Wendy shares that, often when you get to a point in a fast where not only are you trying to draw near to Him, but you begin to want to fast and pray for those around you. And she says in day 24, she uses Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And I just love that because, rest is one of those things that is just so important to us drawing near to the Lord. But when we rest in Him, we can better understand His calling and purpose for our lives and how we affect those around us. On day 25, she begins with Ezra 8:23. "So we fasted and saw our God concerning this matter, and He listened to our entreaty." And so she said that, one of the things that she began to do during her fast was she began to pray for her children. So she was in an intense deadline and she was trying to meet that deadline. And not only was she fasting sugar for herself, but during that time, during the school day, she began to pray for her children. And that really struck me because if you remember what I shared last week, I've been learning a lot about parenting during this 40-day journey that the Lord has me currently on as a parent and as a mom. And my husband and I have both really committed to praying for our children, specifically for 2 of our children in particular, just for them to be released from some of their struggles and to really grow and develop into the godly people that I know they are. And so one of the things that has really been a wrestle of mine and a conversation that my husband and I have been having is how our food impacts our mood. Because we know as adults, we have been working honestly for the past 7 to 8 years to really clean up our diets. The Lord has had us on a journey of learning more about the food that we eat and how our bodies can digest them. But what I've learned with being a family of 6 is what I can digest and eat is not always what my son can digest and eat or my daughter can digest and eat. And so when you look at the big parts of when you begin some sort of elimination diet, the big triggers are gluten, dairy, soy, and sugar. And so those are some of the big things that you have to constantly be looking at for elimination. And if you pull that out, then how does that affect your mood? How does that affect your digestion? How does that affect you functioning well? And we talked a lot about our digestive system last week and how important gut health is to our overall health. And with us focusing on sugar right now for ourselves, I want to ask you, are you focusing on sugar for your entire family? Has the Lord been prompting you to maybe share with your spouse or your parents or your children or your aunts or your uncles, or if you see people that are really close to you, friends that are like family, and they continue to grab the Coke or the Diet Coke, or they continue to eat the ice cream, or they continue to have the Skittles, or continue to have the slushy drink at Target, does something inside of you say, this is not right? Because I know I am seriously struggling with that right now. And how sugar primarily is affecting the mood and the behavior and the digestive system and the brain connection, not only in myself and my husband, but in my parents and in my children. Even, my in-laws, like all around me, like I see my close people, the people that I work with, the people that I do life with, and I'm seriously calling out to the Lord on their behalf. Like, how can I be an influence in their lives? Lord, help it become more clear, because I know I struggle with sugar still, and sugar is an addiction. And I know we might say, I am not addicted, Kristen, like that, you're taking this too far. But if you look at how sugar plays a similar role as heroin or other like real drugs, and how it stimulates our brain, it really can be a source of an idol or a crutch in our lives. There's a great poem this week that you can read where someone wrote, why we turn to sugar. We turn to sugar, and we've talked about this already, when we're sad, when we're angry, when we're busy, just as it's easy to grab. And so I feel like by this point, week 4, the Lord has revealed certain things about what your triggers are, what your temptations are, what you struggle with, why you fall back to sugar when you're in a low point. I know He has with me. But now as we move forward, how do we become stronger in resisting this temptation and replacing this sugar with good things in our lives? And what I want to give you as just a good motivation here is there are certain sugars that are okay to eat if it works for your body. So what you digest, and you are not what your body, you are not what you eat, but you are what your body can digest. And I'm going to be sharing, if you look back on a Wellness Wednesday a few weeks ago, I shared all the different sugars, and several people had questions for me of, well, are you still eating this sugar? And honestly, right now, with me going through the 40-day sugar fast, I've already told you chocolate and Diet Coke are the two big ones that I'm cutting out. And dark chocolate is actually great for you. It is great for your mind. It is great. It has great benefits for your health. And so it's not bad. I just know I consume a lot of it. It is truly a treat and a reward. And so I am limiting my chocolate intake to my Sabbaths. But then Diet Coke, it has aspartame in it. And that's one of the big 3 artificial sweeteners that truly wreaks havoc on our systems. And I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, because I know how many people love their sodas. I mean, here I am fasting from it because I go to Diet Coke when I want to eat a pizza, or when I'm at the beach. I love Diet Coke and Cheez-Its. And so you might think, okay, well, I'm replacing my Diet Coke with Diet Right or something else. But still look at what's on the back of it. And if there's any sort of, there's 3 artificial sweeteners, and I want to be careful that I say the right ones, but aspartame and the sucralose with Splenda, those are 2 big ones, and like a Sweet and Low. Like, those really wreak havoc on our system because they are artificial. You cannot find those sweeteners anywhere in nature. Therefore, it messes up your gut-brain connection. We've already talked about that. And it really just wreaks havoc on your endocrine system, which is your hormones. And last week we touched on adrenal fatigue, and that's a big one that it wreaks havoc on in front of your kidneys, but it also wreaks havoc onto your brain. And your brain, we have our different endocrine system, and we have how it spreads out throughout our bodies, and it is impacted first in our brain. So it's like a dopamine hit, basically. And so that's what it's doing. It's an immediate satisfaction, but it has long-lasting consequences. And I'm sorry, I know this is not fun stuff to hear, but I think it's important for us to know so we can begin to have loving conversations, not only with ourselves, but with our loved ones. And so right now I am seriously praying and thinking through, how am I going to not just like cut sugar cold turkey in my family, but how am I going to begin to limit the sugar that they have, and how can I replace the sugar with good things, with better things? Like I said, dark chocolate is not bad. So how can I have more dark chocolate in my children's lives? How can I have more honey? How can I have more stevia? We have already switched over with our sports drinks. We've gotten rid of the sugar drinks, and we drink different forms. We have Active and Hydrate, and we have a kids supplement that my kids have regularly through Plexus that has got good things in it. We also drink Elements. There's good things that we are trying to drink instead of the sugared juices and Gatorades and sports drinks and soft drinks and all of that kind of stuff. I'm also looking at the sugar. How can it be replaced? Even if you replace white sugar with coconut sugar or palm sugar, that's a better source than white sugar, right? I told you that's kind of been my journey with baking, is how do I replace it, or how do I limit that white sugar? Because what happens when we have white sugars, or when we have these artificial sugars, is it's depleting our minerals. And so it's depleting our B vitamins, it's depleting our magnesium, it's depleting those levels, those mineral levels inside of our bodies, and it's taking it away. So that is it's decreasing our energy levels. Kind of throwing this all out there today, and I know, again, this is hard to hear. But I want to give us a 5-step plan to help us as we begin to build, because again, we already are at the halfway mark. We have 3 weeks left in this journey together. So I want to give you 5 tools that are really going to help you, a 5-step plan for making changes. And the first plan, and this is part of my functional nutrition training through the Functional Nutrition Alliance. So this is my resource for this. The first one, step 1, is understand blood sugar. And so we've talked about this. You can go back and look at some Wellness Wednesdays, but what you need to do is include ample protein in every meal. Include complex carbohydrates. So think your sweet potatoes, your apples, things like that. Include fat. So a healthy fat, a great butter or ghee or avocado oil or avocados, a healthy fat, almonds. Include fiber. Again, an apple has fiber within it. And your new mantra, fat, fiber, protein. And we talked about a savory breakfast early on. So understand blood sugar levels. Number 2, watch for correlations between food and mood. This was a game changer for me, y'all. But eat for morning energy, and remember what to do about midday slumps. And so again, that protein and healthy fat will help you with those midday slumps. And I know for me, that's when I have my Plexus Slim, is to help me with those midday slumps. Brown yourself. This is the third one. We have not talked a lot about this yet, but make the switch to whole foods and whole grains. We've touched on this a little, but thinking about those whole foods and whole grains. So think about your quinoa, think about millet, think about brown rice. Brown yourself with those grains instead of the white rice, because that's not a complex carb, right? And so it's going to break down quicker, and it's going to give us that spike, which is going to hurt us with our blood sugar levels. So brown yourself to whole grains and whole foods. And we know with whole foods, thinking more about fish and salmon and chicken and ground turkey, or leafy greens. If you're not a big meat person, you can find your protein in edamame. That's a great source. Your leafy greens like kale and Brussels sprouts and spinach. Things, think berries, think your blueberries, think goji berries. I know that's a fun word. But think about those kind of foods, dark cherries, that can all be things that you can blend into your diet. 4, remove the sugar. Consider all the healthier alternatives. We talked about that in this video. We are making progress here. And then finally, number 5, be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just keep coming back to your goal. And so I know that's where I am at in my journey. I am not perfect. I am a work in progress. And I am choosing progress over perfection. And you might see me. I'm going to mess up at some point with white sugar or a Diet Coke, or, I'm going to have to cave like I had to do the other day with the chocolate chip cookie, even though it was not a Sabbath. And so I have to give myself grace, and I want to encourage you to give yourself grace too, especially if you are also impacting other people. If you are at that point where you are fasting for others right now, you have to not feel like it's all up to you, because ultimately the Lord is the one that changes people's habits, but we can be a positive source of influence in their lives. And people are watching you. Your children are watching you. Your parents are watching you. And if you go to a party, just try to be that person that brings a healthy alternative. Just be aware of your surroundings. If you are going to the ballpark every night, spend 30 extra minutes packing stuff, or choosing at the ballpark, choosing, the pickles. I cannot stand pickles, but if you like pickles, choose the pickles, choose popcorn even, or bring your own drink. Pack a LaCroix with you. It has 0 sweeteners. It's still going to give you that carbonation that you're wanting usually in a soda drink. So you be that person, and it's just by what you do and what you bring with you. You don't even have to announce it. You don't have to broadcast it. Hey, you guys, I'm going sugar free. But just, don't be afraid to bring it up in a conversation if someone does come to you. And you can also just share my information with them. I would love to be an added resource. Sometimes it takes hearing it from another person to be that first step. So if you want to share it with a family member or a friend, but you're a little hesitant, give them my information and we can have a 3-way conversation with them together. So I hope these are some good tools and tips to help you with week 4. And my question for you as we end today is, who are you fasting for? What has caused you to fast for that person in addition to yourself? And what is one simple thing that you can do this week to be a positive light in that person's life? So that's my encouragement for you today. Leave your answer in the comments, or you can DM me, and I pray for you as you continue on this journey.